Alright, I know I said I wasn't going to do another update on this, but a lot of people have asked that I continue to cover this, and I also feel like I need to finish what I started. So let's get into it. So there are two purposes to this video. I want this video to be your one-stop shop on learning how to get your voice heard at the May 10th meeting, and I also want you to join USARK Florida. But before we get into any of that, if you're still not sure what USARK Florida does, here's a clip of Daniel Parker, their media spokesperson, showing up at the Florida Senate to talk about a bill on venomous snakes, while also bringing this entire fiasco to their attention and calling for the defunding of the FWC.
You're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Daniel Parker. I'm with the United States Association of Reptile Keepers, Florida. This is a bill that gives more power to FWC's law enforcement and prosecutors. Whatever its intent, we believe the original language of this bill would have led to the deaths of native snakes as it criminalized their humane relocation, which is why we supported the amendment that specified that only non-native species would be subject to increased penalties. However, we still have deep concern on how the term gross negligence applies to escapes of venomous snakes. We believe the language should be more specific to define what a grossly negligent escape or release would be. Furthermore, in light of events of the past few weeks, which exemplify the egregious overreach of FWC and their inhumane treatment of animals, we cannot in good conscience support anything that gives this agency more power. FWC's inadequate response to its cruel killing of a pet snake, along with 34 other animals that did not need to be killed, has been an embarrassment to our great state and our Governor and First Lady, who have recently demonstrated their support for the humane treatment of animals. I would implore all of you to reconsider support of FWC's bills and funding until a change is made at the agency and a commitment is made to immediately stop the euthanasia of captive animals. Thank you.
Chair,
Leader Book.
I appreciate, I know we're trying to get through this. I'd like to understand an inhumane killing of a venomous animal and these others. Just FWC has always done things in the correct manner. I just would like to understand.
If you Google FWC pet right now, you'll see news stories that are being reported across the world. It's been reported in Newsweek, USA Today, Palm Beach Post, Miami Herald, NBC News, Inside Edition, and many local news outlets. There was a horrific event a couple weeks ago where FWC came in and euthanized 35 captive snakes with a bolt gun. This was done with a one-step process, which was in conflict with FWC's own recommendations on how captive animals should be, or on how animals should be euthanized. Veterinarians have told us the animals should be anesthetized before being bolt gunned, or they should be anesthetized and then chemically euthanized. FWC's own python hunters use a bolt gun and then follow that up with destruction of the brain of the animal by a process called pithing. The officers in this case took a one-step process. They stuck a metal bolt through the snake's heads, and there's video of this. One of the snakes was writhing on the floor for 20 minutes after it had been bolt gunned by the officers. And that snake happened to be a pet snake that was a legally owned snake. So we think this is just an example of egregious overreach, and we want to see this addressed at FWC.
Thank you. Okay, members.
I find it pretty interesting that they claim to be unaware of this issue, even though it's been across all of those mainstream media news sites. It's been on social media all over the place. But even if they were aware and were just pretending they didn't really know that much about it, now they know that we know that they know. And that's a very good thing. So what are our next steps? We've been calling, we've been emailing, we've been commenting on their Facebook posts. We've been doing everything we can to get our voices heard. And I'm hearing that the emails are now getting forwarded to the FWC and no responses are being issued. Phone lines continue to be jammed up. And overall, the FWC and the state of Florida refuse to give an official response on this. But they have handed us a golden opportunity in the form of the commission meeting being held on May 10th and May 11th. So on the FWC website, which I will link below, you're able to go to this specific meeting and read what the agenda is for the entire 2 days. Now I've gone through all of it. It looks like they don't touch on this topic specifically at all. The closest they might come to it is the meeting portion that's being held on May 11th. They have a scheduled slot in their agenda specifically for discussing invasive species. And that's the first thing on the agenda for that day. After they cover those topics, there will be a very short window for the public to ask questions. But at the end of the meeting in its entirety, there will be up to 3 hours, according to their website, for the public to bring forward their own areas of concern. Now there is a way to go about this. You can't just show up and expect to go up and talk. If you are in Florida and you physically go to this meeting, when you get there, well, let me just read it off of their website. If you wish to speak during one of the public commenting opportunities, please complete the electronic registration process on site at the meeting. To accommodate as much input as possible from those attending the commission meeting, the chairman reserves the right to designate the amount of time given to a topic or speaker. Speakers will be asked to direct their comments to the agenda item being discussed. So you'll get there in the morning, you'll register, and they'll assign you a time slot to speak. This says each speaker may be allotted up to 3 minutes to speak on any one agenda item. So you have to register the morning of. The deadline for registering is 9:30 a.m. on May 11th. Now, if you are not in the state of Florida, as I am not, you can actually go to their webpage, and I will link this below as well, and you can add a question through their online comment form to be addressed at the meeting. So instead of continuing to send emails, or as well as continuing to send emails, I think this is going to be a good way to get our voices heard. You have until May 5th at 5 p.m. to submit a question online. Now, also for those of us that can't attend the meeting and who want to watch the meeting, Brian Cusco brought it to my attention that the Florida channel online is a place that you can stream the entire meeting. Now, this is a long meeting. This goes from 8:30 in the a.m. until no later than 6 at night. So that means it could go all day long, or it could be cut short depending on how much they have to cover. But that's their allotted time frame for both days, May 10th and May 11th. Now, I will try to have the meeting running while I go about my day, both days. But I think the morning of May 11th and the evening of May 11th are going to be the two most important times to make sure you're watching. Because as I said, in the morning they're supposed to cover things on invasive species, and the evening is supposed to be open to all other questions. All of this information, all of the rules pertaining to registering to comment, the page where you can submit an online comment, and where to watch will be linked in the description of this video. So you can just come here, go there, and do what you gotta do. Another thing we can do is join USARK Florida. Become an online member. It's free to sign up. It doesn't take anything. They don't get any personal information from you. But the more people that join that, the more it shows that we are united as a community. So I'll leave the link to that down below. I've joined. It's free. It takes nothing, 2 seconds. But I also want to say really quickly, it is incredible to me how we've all come together in the face of adversity here. You know, a lot of people think this community can be kind of toxic, especially in the Facebook groups where you get new people that join, and then you have the know-it-alls who are like shaming them for a mistake they made. And we've all made mistakes. I've made mistakes. It's just part of the reptile keeping hobby. Everything we know about keeping reptiles is anecdotal. So somewhere, someone made a mistake. It's just how we learn. So yes, there are people who can be a little toxic in the hobby, but I believe right now, with all of this going on, with the whole FWC stuff, with the whole Brian Barczyk stuff, we've really banded together. I mean, there are some outliers, obviously, and you're going to have that, but as a vast majority, I am really impressed and really proud of this community for just how we've reacted to these negative things that have come up, you know? One thing I really, really want to emphasize, and this has been so well said by Clint over at Clint's Reptiles, Tim from Intrepid Exotics, Brian Cusco, and so many more people. We need to handle this respectfully and responsibly. We're all upset, and it's okay to be upset. I think that's the just reaction to have, but we need to be very careful about how we express that outwardly. The eyes of the whole world are on our community right now, and we each individually need to be good stewards of this community. So as we submit comments for this meeting, and as we leave comments on the Facebook page, and everywhere else we're expressing our want for justice in this situation, we need to do it respectfully, not make threats, no matter how cleverly worded they are. Some of them are pretty funny, but anything that can be construed as something like that, don't do it. How we win this, how we get things to change, is by showing that we are responsible, mature, and educated. So I think we should all go and at the very least submit a comment for this meeting, behave with some decorum, and maybe, just maybe, we'll get the answers we're looking for. I'm John. This back here is Roz. She's a veiled chameleon. She's hiding. She doesn't like people. At this point, can you blame her? I will continue to keep you updated on this. If anything new comes out between now and the commission meeting, I'll bring it here, and I will definitely do a follow-up video after the meeting because I feel like there's going to be some things to talk about. I'm going to leave you with Clint's message about all of this because I thought he put it absolutely perfectly, and I hope to see you guys in his live stream later. Thanks for watching, guys. I will see you on the next one. Bye.
Well, hi there. Probably many of you have heard about what happened in Florida with FWC recently. I haven't said anything publicly about this, largely because I'm wanting to make sure that I actually understand what happened before I give you my opinion of it. You know, it's really important to make sure that we have all of the facts before we come to our conclusions. That said, this coming Wednesday, I'm going to do a live stream question and answer about it. I have been studying it quite a lot. Right now, though, the thing I want to encourage you to do is be a good representative of the community. We have a lot of public goodwill right now, more so than maybe we've ever had from any incident, but we could ruin that. And so I'll have more to say on this, but just right now, be the best representatives of our community that you can. Thank you.